Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we are live at the International Foam Show. Doooovid's Engineering Rambles, Make America Great Again. 1 second, get past security here.
Excuse me.
All right. Hey.
Thank
What's
you.
that? Okay, this is the Suburban Collection Place Show Center here in suburban Detroit, actually owned by a Jew, Fisher, multi-generational family business that built up their wealth from car sales from auto dealerships, and eventually purchased this whole convention center that makes these shows. I come here multiple times a year. I think this is the 3rd year. This is a new show called the Foam Expo, and pretty interesting. Basically, this whole show is centering around foam products, and I've been going a few years. Get a lot of machinery. Hopefully, we're going to be talking about automation. So we see some of these companies will set up some huge gadgets. Maybe I'll even have a chance to do some interviews. In the past, I've been able to go table to table, collect reading materials, speak to engineers. You also see internationalism, global supply chain. So this machine, I guess, is just a laser foam cutter. So people just tuning in, you can see minimal automation where you could program and design and have the foam cut in patterns by the machine. So this is a minor form of automation. I don't know if this machine costs millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, different versions of automation that will be shown live. So this is what I do professionally. I'm an engineer, civil engineering. This is more manufacture, but I like, in essence, Doooovid enjoys understanding how things are made, how things work. I'm a scientist and engineer. That's my passion. I haven't really worked in building, putting up structures, but I went to University of Michigan, Tishman School of Construction Management, and I have classmates that work for large construction companies that do actually build these factories. And you'll see here internationally, there'll be hundreds of people here from China, and understanding the global supply chain. A lot of times you have a lot of companies from Germany and all over the world here due to the global supply chain. So you can see a lot of these Chinese companies, and maybe I'll have a time to speak and interview people, a certain understanding about why the Chinese companies are better at producing this stuff. And some people look at Chinese products as low quality, but it's in fact incorrect. Chinese companies also make some of the most high quality products. So there's a whole variety of different things coming out of China. Might be talking about automations. Here's a ramp, a computer company that automates projects, showing off some of their equipment. And so it is a foam show, but it's auto here in Detroit. So there's always a lot of automation companies, robotics companies, due to the processes that actually manufacture the stuff. So, you think foam, look at these like products that you might, like the hand here that you might get at sports stadiums, or different products that are made. So you have a lot of scientists who go like the chemical engineers and what goes into it. But here in Detroit, it's mostly automotive. So foam is lightweight. Sometimes it has good heat resistance properties. So the main reason this International Foam Convention is in Detroit is due to the automotive industry. So let me check the chat. Okay. The Chinese factories have an interesting way of doing, because they'll build these like compounds where the workers actually live at the factory, like a dormitory. Kind of, you could consider a model for the future of America. And even when I talk about multiculturalism, where you could have in Germany also, they also have compounds like that where everyone lives and works together. So here we have actual companies that will be presenting all day. Take a look at the agenda. There you go, boss. I usually go around collect reading material. These places usually love handing out the material depending on the company. So this is day 2. I would have went yesterday, but I had that conversation with Mr. Jones. So you see a Ford Motor Company, Dow Chemical, BASF. People probably heard of BASF. I think they make all types of stuff. And so the engineers from the different companies will be speaking. And international. Here's Lear, obviously airplanes and jets. Sometimes they even have on display like the seats, car seats and airplane seats. So even Learjet is here's a company, Water Jets, CMS. These things are very cool. They're also mechanized where you could program. In the past, they've actually set up and had them on display, but these are the extremely high-power water jets that could cut through metal. I might come back and pick some of their reading material up and see their latest gadgets. I have tens of thousands of pages. Here's foam car seats. So you see why the foam show is here in Detroit. They're making car seats, pillows, all different type things. So you have to really, kind of say like the goy standing next to their machine, waiting to make a sale, as opposed to the user or the business person looking to profit from it, and companies, the people that actually make things. There's also a lot of uses in construction. Foam, you have spray foam for housing insulation, and they'll show the different properties. And they have salespeople, different staff here that will be able to explain the products, what they do. Hey, shalom. God bless. Welcome to Detroit. I'm a civil engineer.
You're in Detroit?
Yeah, local property management, but I love engineering.
Wow. I've been in Southfield, Oak Park here for the last couple of days, just dominating.
Where Purim you were here?
No, for the show.
Yeah, the owner of this place is actually a supporter of Yeshiva. He's secular, but Mr. Fisher, multi-generational family, auto dealerships, and eventually purchased the convention center.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, welcome to Detroit. Have a lot of success.
Thank you.
Okay. So a fellow Orthodox Jew there. Just saw Beard and yarmulke, so I went to give him a shalom. That happens here pretty regularly. I informed him that the owner of this convention center is in fact a Jew, although it's interesting I mentioned Mr. Fisher, who owns this place, is, although he's very Republican. This center here, President Trump, when he ran for president and he came to Michigan to campaign, one of his campaign rallies was in this center, and they have a monthly gun show here. So the owner of this place is a right-wing Republican, a billionaire, very pro-gun. So every once a month, they don't allow pictures at the gun shows or cameras. Here they want people taking pictures and showing this stuff. But the gun show, you're actually not allowed to take pictures. But once a month, they'll have a gun show here, and the exact laws. And I think even the Michigan Republican Convention was in this place, and there was a big debate about guns because they wanted open carry at the Republican Convention, and then the Secret Service and the security said they couldn't have everyone carrying guns. And I forget how that worked out. If you think Republican politics in Michigan, where the people coming to the Republican Convention wanted to show their Republicanness by bringing their guns. And so it is a Jew, a very right-wing Jew that owns this place. So although there are, we talk about a lot the liberal Jews. In fact, there are a lot of Republican Jews. There are a lot of some of the biggest advocates of the Second Amendment are in fact Jews, and even affording, if you came to one of the gun shows here, to see the type of guns that are available. But as I said, at those gun shows, they do not allow pictures. So here they have kind of a setup where all the different type products in an automobile that might contain phone. Yeah, I'm just going to walk around for a few minutes, get a feel for what's going on. Maybe I don't think I'm going to be able to, go to every table, even if I wasn't filming. Like there's so much stuff here to go to every table. But usually these people are very happy to speak about their products, and maybe I'll try to go to tables and get some interviews and some demonstrations. I'm just trying to walk around and get a feel. And as I said, it's an international convention. The people from all over the world, and the reason it's here in Metro Detroit is because the auto industry is still largely centered here in Detroit, even though the supply chain and factories are all over. And in terms of manufacture, automotive by far is the biggest factor in the process. That if you have equipment to sell or you have a product to sell, if you could get it involved in the automotive process, that's the key to doing business. I think even statistically, over 50% of all manufacture is automotive worldwide, and now they make cars all over. So here's example of automation, and so AIS automated systems, automation systems has little models of the type machines that they build. So the companies that actually, here's German company. You hear a lot of German speaking here these days. The demographics keep on becoming more international. So historically, decades ago, it would have been like 25% German. And if you hear like people walking by, and even a lot of these international companies, Chinese and Japanese and all types, usually have German partners because till today, Germany is the most famous, respected manufacturing hubs, although South Korea and Japan are pretty close competitors. And even China, as I said, China does not just make low quality products. Some of the best quality products in the supply chain do in fact come from China, and that's economic reasons. And I said a lot of those top quality products coming from China have German partners. So I'm just gonna try to get a complete walk around here, see what's out here, the type of equipment on display, and then maybe we'll speak to some people. Shap, and here's maybe testing equipment, and you look at foam and say, actually, you could have some extremely high power foam. You think foam is being soft, and but there's different products of foam. I think last year Saudi Aramco was actually here from Saudi Arabia, and I remember I spoke to them and read their materials to their representatives. But foam could be oil derivatives. There could be synthetic foam that's made from chemicals, or natural foam that comes as a derivative of oil. So Saudi Aramco from Saudi Arabia was here at the show. Said there are two different places where there's lectures being given for the conference, and people will be showing the latest in technology. And it's really mind-boggling all the different type things that could be made from foam. That foam would have a whole show. So make America great again, revive the manufacturing sector in America. I'd wanted to actually be involved in making conventions and shows. My mother had been the attorney for the casino in Detroit, and even though they were going bankrupt, they ended up getting like a huge $200 million loan to build a hotel and convention center. But then now my mother's retired, but something didn't work out there, and I wasn't able to do it. I was probably too young, didn't know enough, but to actually organize. Here's another man for yarmulke. See that, a lot of Jews in business, a lot of engineers or in sales. And so keep on walking around, try to get a full view of what's going on. A lot of car seats here. A lot of people make car seats. Let me check the chat, see what people are saying. I don't know if there's a leather expo. I mean, foam isn't important. I mean, there probably are leather shows, but I don't think there would be an international show that would pay for these huge companies from all over the world to send engineers for leather. Because, I mean, although like car seats might be made of leather, foam is an important component for all types of industrial processes. So let's look at this advanced cutting technology. Just look at here, a whole bunch of foam sheets that could be used for a whole bunch of things. What's this machine? Gong Yung. It's Asian company probably, and then I'll look at that machine in the corner, and then I'll see if I could speak to a few people, and then I'll probably walk around and collect some of the reading material. So it's like a Chinese company. This machine's already been sold on demonstration. And it's probably a rolling, cutting, pressing type machine. But, and obviously, people are here to make sales. So there's an engineering trade where people are happy just to talk about the science and the development of science. But people are here largely business. They want to make sales. So here's advanced cutting technology where you could program in a computer. You could do this metal and all types of things where you program in the computer the design that you want, and then the machine automatically cuts it for the people and packages. And there's different levels where you could add robotics. So you have combinations. So automation does not necessarily put people out of business because you still need people to transfer. So even if the machine, historically, you might have had someone cutting it. So you have the machine that makes exact cutouts based on the design. And you could probably program a robotic arm to take those pieces and transfer it or box it, or you could have a person. But even a lot of the robotics, so there is a level of less work. In the olden days where you had people across Michigan who would have, ran these factories, made these widgets, and now you have a lot of machines that require a lot less people working. And we might be talking next week about UBI, Universal Basic Income. People set up little stuff like basketball or whatever, just try to get attention to their booth. More automation equipment here. So the convergence of related technologies. So not only do you have the companies that produce foam products, you have the supplementary companies that would help you build a foam company. And so even if you were going to produce in China, you might come here to Detroit. So you might have a German company that you might have a Jewish investor that is going to produce foam products in China and use a German engineering firm to build the automation process for the factory. And all of that would be middleman at this convention here in Detroit. So it's pretty cool. And, foam is in a lot of car components. It looks like got bras and anything could be made out of foam, because foam's a pretty dynamic material that is lightweight and have different properties. But as I said, here most of the foam suppliers are aiming for automotive sales because that's the biggest product, although in reality you can make anything out of foam. And not anything, but a lot of different products. So packaging is a big deal. I think they have 6 major things here. There's the construction industry, there's packaging, foam for productivity. So you got a very multicultural, international. So not only multicultural in Metro Detroit, but a lot of these people did literally come from all over the world just for this show related to their business. And there's a lot of good reading material. So it's interesting. There's magazines for almost every field. Place to give out free food, like PU Review. I'm gonna come back and grab a bunch of reading material. So you got another foam cutting machine. Zun, probably this is a Swiss company. So these engineers came from Switzerland, and another programmable computer program where you do some sort of design within the computer, and then the machine will make the cuts for you. And that could be hooked up to a robotic arm that would feed the machine and take the machine. But here you got Swiss engineers that came from Switzerland. You got a lot of people from Turkey. So it's interesting to try to understand the global supply chain. And it's almost impossible. It's beyond one person to understand. Even just one concept like foam is beyond the capability of a person to understand the global supply chain. And if you were a foam engineer or selling some of this equipment, you might actually travel all over the world. And if you were setting up factories, and you would travel all over the world and go to the different factories, set them up, look at the equipment, and thank God Detroit is still a center of that. Detroit is still strong in that sense, although economics has led the manufacturing base to be hollowed out, but the management control of the processes is still largely centered here. And with the rising in prices, at this point it's almost as expensive to manufacture in China as it is elsewhere, so that there's a lot of return of business to Michigan as labor prices decrease. God forbid that labor prices are actually going down here in the U.S. Due to economic hard times, and labor prices in China are going up. So actually, it's almost just as cheap to pay a U.S. person to do what they do in China. Here's an Italian company cutting. See a steel blade for Savanini, an Italian company, 100% made in Italy. There's actually a lot of high quality products still made in Italy, manufacturing equipment, although Germany is generally considered the manufacturer base. But European, very tall man from Korea, actually. White man working for a Korean company. He's almost 7 feet tall. Another huge machinery, Edge Sweets company. Someone's got 10 people walking, 10 people watching. Check the chat. Korea and Japan and Germany are really respected top level. There's some Italian companies. England, more management. There's some manufacturing, but the manufacturing base in England has basically been hollowed out. But some of the management or banking. And then you would say England, where in England it's not Anglos, it's other people working for English companies. So you have one demonstration, one of these automation machines that is cutting strips. So you can see they have a long foam thing, and they cut it and it makes strips for foam tape. So they've actually brought this machine from Italy. It's probably been sold to a local company. And hey, wonderful, God bless. Italian woman showing their machines. Steel blades. I'll come back and grab reading material, just see some of the type products made from foam. I speak a little German, actually. I try to pick up, I am a multiculturalist. I do favor immigration. A large part of that is based on my engineering background, but if you see me in these debates, I'm an engineer by trade. This is what I do. I'm a scientist. I like understanding how things are made. But there is a basis in my engineering background that makes me support multiculturalism and immigration. Just look at all these different people from all over the place. And the supply chain is global. That, if you talk about immigration, who's allowed into your country, do you want ethnically homogenous? As when I debated JF on multiculturalism, the evidence from a corporate perspective is multiculturalism works. I mean, there's substantial evidence. I posted tens of articles, the studies in terms of scientific research and corporate profit, corporate excellence, pushing technology. Multiculturalism is a necessity of the corporate world, and no one has responded to that. No one has given a serious intellectual critique of the factual claims that every major investment firm, international firm recognizes, because the supply chain is global. That, in order to make a car, you need all these different parts coming from different places, and different things are cheaper in different areas. And and then you need the people there. So I mean, you could say, okay, the people don't actually have to move and live the different places. They could just come to the shows and sell their products and meet at these different conventions, and then everyone else could live separately. But the fact is that you really do need people moving around and transferring and different type people. So you look at all the Chinese people here selling their product, but eventually that means Chinese people living here. You got local sales representatives. So the process would go, let's say a Jewish investor, a German manufacturing firm, and open up a factory in China and build a piece of equipment. And then they start manufacturing large amounts of a certain given product. And then they start opening up places around the globe, and they need regional offices and regional salespeople. And so you say, okay, you're going to hire local. I mean, obviously the people do hire a certain amount local, but you're just going to hire locally the people there to try to represent your company. You're going to need people from the area, where it's made. So that's going to lead to immigration from China, and globally, where you have the people who are making the different products all over the world. People from the factory know the things. I mean, you could see a direct correlation between multiculturalism and manufacturing and global business. That's why I talk about global pressures, that there might be Jews on the forefront, like obviously the owner of this convention center is a Jew, but that doesn't mean that the pressures aren't universal, that just who's the investor, who are the business people that are at the forefront of doing it, but someone else would be doing it, because they're saying it's the global supply chain that is pushing these factors. It works more efficiently with a global world, and immigration restrictions hinder global progress. So that's why all the global companies, Ford, every major global corporation basically pushes more immigration. That if you're a multinational global corporation that manufactures something, you are per force of the competition of the world, not based on any conspiracy, is going to push for more immigration and more multiculturalism. I sometimes shake like thousands of hands. I'm carrying my camera right now. I haven't spoken to anybody. I had the live stream started before I walked in. But sometimes I'll go and I'll shake like 1,000 hands. Even sometimes like the Chinese place, I'll go and shake every person's hand. And also even some of the German companies or Italian companies, because there's a certain harmony. So say I'm a member, Doooovid is an engineer. I know somewhat what I've been talking about. In science, people could talk about their processes, and pretty cool products being made. You imagine sometimes they set up on display. Like I said, obviously, you want to get your product somewhere in the automotive process in order to be able to sell large amounts of it. However, there's all different type things where you can make a living. Like all the millionaires across the world, the goyim who become millionaires, the manufacturers that just make a widget, and you don't have to be supplying Ford and the major auto companies. You could just have one product that sells, one factory, one process, one garage somewhere with one machine pumping out something with a profit margin that sells, and it could turn you into a millionaire. So you have these conventions usually work where you rent out a table. It costs like, depending on the convention, might cost a few $100 or a few $1,000s. So you have different levels of companies, and you could rent out bigger booths. So like, here you have EcoFlex, more like recycled materials. I've spoken to these people in past years, so they try to make their foam products out of more eco-friendly recycled products, turning trash into useful products, and that might matter But I mean, so the bigger companies could rent out multiple booths. So I don't know if this is just one space, and maybe this is like a 4 space or something like this. AAS Automated Systems paid $5,000 or more to rent out this space, where you could have one mom and pop's manufacturing shop that just rented out a single booth like this that are selling their product, just like a tape or a foam that, medical foam. So here gasket tape, transportation, automotive, heating, air conditioning, industrial, construction, leisure, medical, retail. And, so a lot of the bigger companies supply to the whole gamut of any use anyone could do for foam. If you're pumping out foam and you're like, whatever you want, we'll do it, we'll build it, versus like a smaller mom and pop's company that might just do one specific thing. So shipping is a big use of foam. So here you got a Novo that has all these different shipping type things. I was here before they actually had weapons. You get like complicated military grade guns, rocket launchers, and stuff like that, where you might package it in foam, or expensive parts, medical devices. So shipping is not as big as automotive, not nearly as big, but it's also a very big part. So here's another probably Chinese, maybe Japanese company that sells machines for the chemical processes. You have the huge mixing, where either you take as an oil derivative to get the foam, or chemical processes to make synthetic foams, and then be rolled out and cut or formed in different ways. So the companies that actually sell the huge machinery, and some of these companies probably spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on this show to actually bring the equipment, and might have shipped it around the world. And hey, God bless, excellent. Shalom. I get a lot of shaloms at this. Tens of languages being spoke here. Sometimes you get little gimmicks, like the foam man, hit the foam man. I'm not going to do it, but just something to get people to look at your product. Rubber. Saying rubber has largely been replaced by synthetics. You feel like Ford here in Michigan had tried to buy products in like South America or like Africa, where rubber used to grow on trees. Rubber comes from a tree, but now most rubber is synthetic. And actually, God forbid, Auschwitz and the third camp in Auschwitz, Birkenau, and Suburban, or whatever the third one, actually was a synthetic rubber producer, I believe. But foam has replaced a lot of rubber products. And I said, what do you think of foam in what you think of foam? You might not realize that foam could be made extremely hard in solid objects that's almost as hard as metal, or very soft, and there's different ways of making it. So I think I'm going to sign off. Pretty cool. I hope to do more of these streams. See if I get a little of this Swiss manufacturer talking. So I'm probably going to walk around, speak to some people, and grab some reading material. And it's like I'm not in the foam business. I'm more a civil engineer, but it's applicable to the manufacturing process and to the larger manufacturing base. There's a nice video about the foam making process, if you could see the video. That was pretty cool. I don't know if it's going to repeat where that blue thing. So the videos of the process of how this stuff is actually made, and you can see the chemical formulas there, in NASA. And so to actually understand the complicated chemical processes that make the most new foam quality. And there's a lot of engineers, and I'll actually sit and listen to sometimes these people. I'm not a chemist, but I have enough of a background in physics. I took organic chemistry, little inorganic chemistry where I could try to understand, like a engineer from around the world talking about the latest processes of what they're doing to make their foam. So pretty cool. I'm glad I was able to put this up, and people are watching, and we'll be talking hopefully next week, maybe with Greg Johnson, about universal basic income and automation. So this is related. This is what automation is, and the connection that I'm always talking about with internationalism, technology, and multiculturalism and immigration. They are all related. And so God bless. I'm not sure when my next stream